Good afternoon, everybody. It's Angie Atkinson, and I'm here with the lovely and talented Lise Colucci. Lise, welcome back.
Thank you very much.
Always my pleasure. So today, as we wait for the chat to start to populate and get moving, let me just remind you that we just saw that right in my ear. We do we do this stream every Tuesday around the same time, but usually we're about 30 or 40 minutes earlier. My fault. Um, Technical difficulties today. Hey, Christine, thank you for being here. We are talking today about Johnny Depp. We don't usually do celebrity stuff, and when we do, it doesn't always go well, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Right. Right. So keep an eye out for reminders. I was going to put some in the chat, in the description, and just forgot. I apologize. I'll do that next time. In the meantime, this is what I know, and I'd like to hear from you and from Lisa and everyone else what you think. So here's what I think. This is what I know. Amber Heard is Johnny Depp's ex-wife or soon-to-be ex-wife.
Ex-wife. I think this is
Yeah. This is a defamation trial, right?
Yeah.
So they're all over socials, all over TV right now with everything. Basically, I think that Johnny Depp's telling mostly the truth. I think he is not the abuser. I think she is the abuser. Let's discuss. Lise, what are your thoughts?
Well, I pretty much agree. I mean, I think we can't know because, I think what we see is that this becomes a very difficult thing to be able to know what's going on, and you can see why this is so difficult in the court system.
Right.
Because there's gaslighting, there's lying, there's all kinds of things that can be happening. And so but I think it seems like what you're saying is accurate. What I think, it seems that's
From what I've seen, I mean, I understand that Amber Heard had previously, and I remember this happening when she came out and said he was an abuser, and a lot of people did not like him for that.
Well, that's what the trial's about, because
exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe, if I understand correctly, I believe that the reason this is going on is what I said. We know the trial, but I think people look at Amber Heard, or they did before anyway, and they see this beautiful, well-dressed, seemingly, put together person who's in public not usually too crazy, right? And I think what we have here is a perfect example of a man who has essentially been smeared in the biggest possible way,
mm-hmm.
who was being abused. I mean, if you listen to those tapes of them, have you heard those?
Yeah. No, I haven't heard enough of them yet. I've kind of been not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Understood. It's a little triggery. Yeah. I listened to one yesterday where they were talking about, it was Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was recording. Okay. So my husband said, listen, he said, he's probably just antagonizing her. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's not it.
No, this is not how it works. No.
Right. This is, I think, if anything, any sort of negativity that came out of him was about reactive abuse. But she was clearly screaming, acting insane, being horrible to him. And he was just saying, one thing that really stuck out to me is he at one point he said something like, I loved you all this whole time, but I made a mistake because you aren't even real. You're just in my head. And what I think he meant was,
I get it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, just like all of us, like the person we love doesn't exist.
Exactly. It's these little phrases that he keeps saying like that make you realize, okay, he's gone through something with her, and
combined with the tapes themselves, and hearing her in those tapes, right? You hear the seething contempt, the disgust. I mean,
well, you see it on her face in court too. So
yeah. And here's a good thing about this trial, if I could just point that out. I was just talking with the mod squad, or several of them anyway, earlier today, and what I think it comes down to is the fact that men, when you look at our numbers, how many men, how many women do we have in our audience? It's approximately sometimes 80-20, sometimes 75-25 for the men on the smaller end. And I think part of the reason is, number one, I don't know, maybe we're not that cute. I'm just kidding. Number two,
it could be that.
We're not as cute as other people, but no, I'm just kidding. We're adorable. Okay. But seriously, I'm just playing. Seriously, the thing that I think is that men have a stigma against admitting abuse even to themselves from a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people say there's more male narcissists. That's not true.
No.
How many
moms?
mothers?
How many moms? Yeah, like
right,
yeah.
Right. And those are just of the people who have come out and said, I've got a narcissistic mother. Because the fact is, many times mothers get a pass, right? They get some kind of like what's it called? Some kind of a like, well, she just really cares. Well, she's just a little silly around.
Right. There's a lot of justification around.
She's overprotected, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where the biggest thing is because these men often are raised by these mothers, and then they marry their mothers, sort of. They marry a woman like their mother. It's very common. You know, luckily for my husband, he married a woman like his mother, who was amazing. But anyway, I'm just playing around. I'm not that amazing.
Yes, you are.
No, but seriously, I'm sorry, guys. I'm in a silly mood today. Seriously, I do believe that there is a significant amount of stigma for men. And you've worked with a lot of men. I've worked with a lot of men. In fact, by the way, everybody, well, I'll let you announce that. You want to announce that one thing about men or no?
Well, it's kind of switched. So
okay. All right, we'll talk about it later. Talk about it later. Okay. Yeah. But I think it's really important for men to know they're allowed to come forward and say, look, this woman has done this to me. It doesn't have to be physical abuse. I think sometimes it is, but it doesn't have to be. They just don't know how to say. I think society tries to take away their manliness, so to speak.
Right. If they talk about it, if they mention it, men should just suck it up. Men should just, I mean, not really, but this is what.
Right. They should no emotions. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And women sometimes.
Somebody said to me, they said, you see these old movies where women will be raging and ranting and it's very cute and they're very like angry and the angry women, then they'll throw something at the guy. And somehow that's funny. Whereas if you saw it in reverse, you'd be horrified. And even in old movies, you'd have been horrified, you know, and that's kind of still today. Like that, it's not okay. And men do need some validation and support through this. Hopefully Johnny Depp's getting it. His own validation and support for himself. But yeah, you know, like that's, and especially like, I think him going public, and I'm really hoping this can set some sort of precedent for emotional manipulations and abuses in court because
that's another really valid point. Thank you for bringing it up. You're so right. And see, even though that's not, I mean, I think that is exactly what they're doing here because they're trying to prove to the court that he was manipulated and abused,
right,
narcissistically or otherwise by someone. Now, I heard about her diagnosis. I think I don't know for sure, but I think the psychologist who was on the stand, who they kept saying objection every time she said 3 words. I think she said BPD and maybe HPD, which is borderline. And
oh boy,
I know. And what's the other one? Histrionic, right?
Oh boy, yeah.
Yeah. However, I could totally see the histrionic. I gotta say, I'm thinking NPD personally. But I can't say, I'm not diagnosing it.
Right, we can't diagnose it. But well, yeah, I mean, I think, well, when you have
it's all the same.
BPD and NPD, and at an extreme level with the BPD, because BPD, I mean, they're both on a spectrum, and we can have people who are more self-harming, they affect themselves, and then it's very difficult for them to have strong relationships because of it. Right. And then it can tip over to the farther end of the spectrum where they are almost scarier than a narcissist.
Like for real.
They're the stalker types. They're the can't let it go types, and like it's.
Yeah, but I want to say this really quickly. We also know, Lise and I, that most people with BPD do have empathy, don't act crazy. Right. I want to put that out because we have a lot of people in our audience who.
It's really hard to talk about because of that. It's hard to talk about the toxic side of it without and especially understanding that people with BPD will take it personal because that's part of BPD. Like it's really hard to get to the place where it's like, I'm taking it personal and I'm not going to react to that because I know they're not meaning, they're not pointing the finger at everybody. But so that's why when people ask why we don't do videos on that too often, this is for me why.
Yeah, but I would also like to point out another thing about BPD really quickly, then we'll move on. I believe that a percentage, I don't know what percentage, but I think a certain amount of people with BPD especially maybe those who have been in toxic relationships and who were raised by toxic parents, maybe misdiagnosed CPTSD.
Yeah, it's
my
traits.
personal thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's traits, not
Right.
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 Mm-hmm.
Right. So with all that being said.
Right. Well, so even okay, so they've given her this diagnosis, or they've given her this potential diagnosis. I don't know
Right.
how it was.
I think it was potential because they can't officially maybe diagnose her without
Right.
more stardom, but yeah.
Right. Right. Well, that in itself, it's tricky, right? It's tricky to.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is. It is. Yeah. She's biting her lip. Look at you. You're cute. Okay.
Me?
Yeah, you were all biting. I was like,
I'm just having a week.
Everybody has a week.
I'm having a week where I'm like, you're going to say too much.
Yeah, it's a weird week. So let me say something really quick since we're here. Those of you who are trying to email anyone in our office other than queenbeingteam@gmail or Lisa or I, please just forward the email to Queen Being Team because we're not getting them. There's a person who previously worked for us who no longer works for us. We've tried to remove her name from everywhere, but we've had a couple problems. Just a side note. Okay, moving on. All right. Do you want to jump in the chat?
Okay.
All right, let's just
What are we saying? Let's
all right. So we have, first of all, let me say to the amazing mod squad we have here today. We have Christine, we have Bonnie, we have Jack and Simmerine, and thank you guys for being here. All right, now I saw one from Bonnie that Q&A. Hey Peggy, she says, my heart breaks for him. Absolutely.
That's right. Johnny Depp did have an abusive mom. Sorry, I'm totally interrupting you. Like I'm off in a world, Angie.
You're allowed. You're allowed. This is what we do.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, abusive mom. That's right. Okay. Do you have one for us? Read it to.
That was it. No, he had an abusive mom, is what Fender Gal said. So yes, he had an abusive. That makes sense, right?
Yes.
Doesn't it? From where we understand that we.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that makes so much sense, and that even okay. To be fair, I did hear about the abusive. I watched it. Okay. All right. There's so much in this one. To be fair, there has been sunny days as she reminds me of my ex-narcissist in my life. Right. And I noticed a lot of that face. Did you guys see her when she was staring at her lawyer, looked like she wants to eat him?
Most of the faces she's making looks like she wants to harm someone.
I mean,
yeah,
she's scary.
You know what? Here's the thing. When I look at the expressions, just the photographs, I feel narcissism.
Right.
I feel, and that's no diagnosis. That's just my personal opinion, right? And it's what I see is the expression I've seen on other narcissistic women's faces, to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks like so-and-so. She looks just like so-and-so, but she doesn't. She's totally different, like physically. Right. Yeah. Does that make sense? Like her,
I know exactly that.
Her whole affect is exactly like that other person. Now that doesn't make a diagnosis, but it certainly would make me, it would sway me, if I were sitting on a jury.
Absolutely. We've talked before about how we can sort of, as victims of narcissists, especially parents, we learn to watch their faces. We learn to tell, like for me, it was, am I going to get hit today? Is this person coming at me? Am I, what's going on? I needed to read that face like a book, right? So for a lot of us, we go, well, we're empaths, and we absolutely are. But I think either our empathy, our extreme empathy, part of it developed because of abuse, in my opinion. Because of that right there, because of needing to know, needing to see. Is anyone with me on this, or am I crazy? I could be crazy. What are your thoughts on that, Lise?
You're not crazy. Repeat the last part that we need to.
I think as empaths, we may have to acknowledge, many of us, not all of us, obviously, but many of us may have to acknowledge that some of our ability, or maybe the sharpening of such ability, came from reading our parents or whoever.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we learned to read the familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Let's see here. Now, if you have any comments that you want to pull out, just yell, because I'm here and I'm reading, but I don't want to cut you off either.
No, I was reading. That's why I didn't follow everything you were saying.
Right. Okay. Right on. On. All right. So let's see. Simran reminds everyone that we are not talking politics in relation to this case. We're only discussing from a victim versus perpetrator. Yeah. And that's absolutely.
And the fact that men can be victims of this, and and how hard it is for them to be heard, and how hard, I mean, just that one statement of, oh, you, Johnny Depp, are going to go to the world and say that you've been abused. Who's going to believe you?
What choice
That's
do you have?
paraphrase. That's paraphrase, you know, that what she said to him, then they got thankfully on recording. Yeah.
And that's the thing
that he was having to record conversations is enough for me. And and yes, toxic people do that too, but they do it to mock you.
Yes.
They don't do it in the right situations. They do it when you're already hysterical. They don't get the whole
right.
Yeah.
They do it to prove you crazy. We do it to show ourselves we're not crazy.
Right. And to show the whole conversation, not just taking excerpts from the
I can't tell you how many times I said to my ex and even my mother once, I feel like I need to record our conversations because then I can play them back to you when you tell me that you didn't say what you just said. You know, like it drove me crazy. I couldn't stand it. Okay, we have Angelina here. Hey girl, hey, from Live and Warrior TV. She says, yes, exactly. Defining lying and gaslighting going on. Did you know he actually cut off his own finger but accused her of what?
No.
He was caught admitting it on tape. I don't
believe that either.
I don't believe that either.
And that's the thing. These are the things we can't know. It's sort of like, let that be with the jury. I've been on other people's groups. I don't talk on a lot, but you know, I've seen in other people's groups a lot of conversation where people are attacking him and saying he must be the abuser, basically because he's a man. And like that's how can we know?
Okay.
Yeah.
So it looks to me like he found a bloody finger. He did not cut off his own finger. Of course, it says in this one part, text messages written by Johnny Depp implied this is from the independent.co.uk. Cut off his own finger were read out during court. Blah blah blah. Depp's doing his extra. Apparently, she wrote I think I heard about that, but no, he testified that he did not do that. He found a severed finger. So I think it was he didn't do it. Okay. So other possibly more.
Yeah, the story that as it was explained in court was that it was
right.
A bottle was thrown at him. 3 bottles or a couple bottles were thrown at him, and one hit his finger, which was resting on a table.
Yeah. Now I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't know. That's the story. I don't know anything about the finger.
Okay. Well, I just quickly looked it up and I don't see that's exactly being the truth. But to be fair, everybody, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was when we talked about some other, maybe it was the Michael Jackson situation, and Angelina took the opposite stance at that time. And so I don't know if she's just being the devil's advocate or if she actually thinks this. Angelina, I'm interested in knowing what you have to say about that. If you would throw it in the chat, girl. Okay. Okay. In fact, if you want to talk about it publicly, you can come and talk with us anytime. We'll make an appointment and we'll work something out. And you can come in and state your thoughts about that. All right. Yes, Peggy, you are visible. Hello, Mystique. Anyway, like I said, Lise, if you find anything.
Jeffrey Sherman is saying we need to know as soon as possible if we're in danger. So faces need to be understood instantly. Back to the
yes.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Learning to read, yes.
Yes, and that continues, I think, into your adult relationships, right? And so that's why people who aren't toxic, even some who are, but I don't know about everybody else, but for me, like even if I'm somewhere and nobody knows who I am, they will still come. It's inevitably strangers still come to me, and I guess because I start talking, I listen and I talk back, whatever, they automatically start telling me their whole life stories. So I don't know if that's just me.
Here's one that M. Mars, this is kind of playing the opposite side or the other side. It says, I think people forget that he is taking her to court and he has way more money than her and 25 years older than her.
Let's talk about it. So, sorry, go ahead.
No, so here's the thing. We don't know either of their financial status. She's been in major movies. She's got money. This is not a person who has lived off their husband's money and has none, and he has all the money taking her to court. These are two people that, in my opinion, are on fairly equal grounds as far as hiring an attorney. She has spokespeople. She has media. She has people she hires all around her, as does he. So we're not talking about like the average person who one is at work, or not the average person, but when narcissists will financially abuse you. We're not talking about that here, I
Right.
don't think. And the other thing that, if I'm recalling right with this, that this is what tipped me off early on. Early on in this, it was said the reason when all of her behavior started is when a postnuptial was asked for.
Mm.
So, and I would have to go back and look, and I could be quoting this wrong, but I believe it. Then I thought, wait, there we go. There's the money angle.
Right.
And then the other thing is she accused him of something at a point in time in an article. She didn't accuse him of something in a way that would be, it was kind of a, what do I want to say? A smeary way to do it.
Yes.
In an article, accused him without him being informed, without anyone knowing. Out comes this article. Boom, he's cut from his major role that he was supposed to do. There's something in that is not right. And then, and then here later, Mar says they were abusive to each other. And we've talked about that reactive abuse. There's a great article. There's a great passage in one of the articles, and I have it here. I can find it. That talks about It's a psychologist that came on and talked about reactive abuse and why, because they were calling it mutual abuse. This is mutual abuse. There's nothing that there's, one and the other, they're both at fault. And his attorney was saying, no, this is not that. This is called reactive abuse. And let me have this psychotherapist explain what that means. And if I can find it, I can read it. But
okay. But you're absolutely right with with your thoughts on it. I also think while you're looking for that, I'll just say,
yeah, go ahead.
It's really important to note that the reasons that your commenter stated in the beginning, she's younger than him, she doesn't have as much money as him, he's taking her to court. He's taking her to court because she tried to destroy his career, and she told the whole world he was an abuser when he's not an abuser.
Right.
I would take him to court if I could, if it were the
if
other
I had the money to do it. And see, they're playing on a different playing field than the rest of us. That's what I'm kind of getting at. They have the ability to do this. All we can do is stare, because we don't have the ability to hire multi-million-dollar lawyers and do,
and be on TV about it or whatever.
And go on TV and have anyone care.
Right. But this thing is important. This is an important point, Lise, because they also, as this particular couple, now I have to restate again, I don't know Amber Heard. I don't know what movie she was in. I never heard of her before now. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm not an actor. Anyway, but so I wanted to say that. But and to be honest with you, I mean, I don't know Johnny Depp either. I only know him from TV or movies or whatever. But
a couple dreams, maybe, but
maybe a couple.
Actually, I did. I actually had a Johnny Depp dream.
Oh, do tell.
5 years ago, he came into I was working at like a cafe in some foreign country, and he came in with these 3 women, and they were so abusive to him that all he could do was cry in his soup. And I was like, I don't know who I feel more sorry. Like, I didn't know what to think. And I sent them shopping. I told them where to go shopping, and I sat down with him, and he just was like shaking his head. And that was my dream. That, like, of all Johnny Depp dreams, that's what I have. But powerful. There we go. I mean, so
Premonition. I mean,
I don't know, it was weird.
I was really hoping for a sexier story.
I know, I was too. I woke up like, really? That's what you get? What is this mind of yours?
That may have been a sign that you're on the right track, career-wise. I don't know.
And why Johnny Depp? Yeah.
That's so crazy, though, isn't it? Yeah. Because back then there was nothing out about him.
There wasn't, and this was this is about a year before she accused him.
Y'all, this girl's psychic. I'm just pointing out. That's
okay. Only for Johnny Depp.
Only for Johnny Depp. Okay.
I actually don't know. Like, here's the thing. It's not about defending him or defending her. It's about looking at it as, this is why this kind of thing is so difficult for the rest of the world to see. And
this is why there are no laws in the United States. But
yeah. And for even us to be able to see, because from where we sit, it legitimately could be anyone. We would have to talk to the people.
Exactly. And again, what we're saying here is, there's, as far as our opinions, they're not really relevant. I'm just saying this is why I think what I think.
Yeah.
Right.
But, and I'm not trying to change this other person's opinion. I'm just talking about the point they brought up, which is a good one, that there is mutual abuse going on and how reactive abuse looks. And especially when you have a person with borderline personality disorder, there is an attack mode that happens with people who have borderline personality disorder, and especially when you're farther up on the spectrum of being more more toward toxic, and it sounds like she is, there is an attack mode that happens that's relentless. So when you see a narcissist attack and be verbally assaulting, so to speak, and verbally, that's one thing. When you see a borderline, they cut to the quick, and and there is a swift and unending rage that comes out, and it's really hard not to react to that. Right? It's not to make an excuse for reactive behavior, but it is what happens.
Yes.
For a lot, I mean, you can only sit quiet so long for most people, right? Many people, right?
Right.
So,
was Amber Heard in both of them? Yeah. Okay. 2018. Okay. So the first Aquaman, was she in Aquaman, the first one?
She was in I guess, I don't know. I'm not I don't know who she is. I didn't really know much about her until recently. So.
Okay. Well, I believe she's only been in Aquaman. Wait, let me just double check my facts. Okay, yes, she was. Okay, so I guess she was in the first one, right? And they cut her screen time way down in the second one. But here's something interesting. The ACLU lawyer testified that her op-ed was released in time for the Aquaman premiere, the one that got them to court now. And I think that's very telling of her intention.
Getting attention toward herself, so that yeah.
And hold on, go ahead, please.
Oh, this is the thing on. Do you want me to read this thing on reactive abuse?
Yes.
Okay, so I probably can I? Because I don't have where it's quoted from.
You can just say
this was in an article. I don't remember the article. The article's name was something to the effect of mutual abuse or reactive abuse. And it says a child who was trauma bonded to an abusive parent may experience trauma reactivity in relationships as an adult. Lise is the name of the psychotherapist. They said that the phrase is used to describe exaggerated stress responses a person will have after experiencing a traumatic event and may be exhibited as highly emotionally charged outbursts. It's not the same as coming after someone for no reason. It's in reaction, and it's a defense mechanism. It's usually, often it's a verbal outburst, which is
That's really and it's almost always, I think. I mean, sometimes they may, I'm not very good at insults.
I know Well, it's usually in the moment as it relates to the situation, right? Like,
of course, but like I went through a situation where he was just mean, and then I was trying so hard to think of a mean thing to say because it was so bad at that point. Right, and so I finally was like, "Well, you're bald." I mean, he was so not offended at all. I was still not. It didn't help, and there's no reason to try the name thing. That was a dumb choice on my part, but to be fair, I was much younger. Anyway, moving on. Okay. Do you have
men are abused by women too, and women stalk men too.
Yes.
Bill Brown's saying. And
100%. Here's one. Bonnie, I love you. You're so funny. Bonnie says, in my humble opinion, Amber Turd is a malignant narcissist. I just thought that was funny.
You like the funny words.
I like the fun. I do love the words. Yes, I do. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Sunny Day says half of the 50% of the narcissists in her own life were women. Yeah. Okay.
Highly sensitive Wookiee has a good one. I think it's important to consider past relationships and how their exes talk about them too.
And I can't speak to that, but if you can, let me know.
They said that Johnny's exes are supportive of him and Amber's are not.
Right. Okay, I've seen that. Yeah. I haven't seen any of Amber's. I've seen a couple of Johnny's. And look, he's never been been in the news for this. And there are no Me Too's coming out. That's right.
That's like, especially in our climate, because it's really easy. Go ahead, do it. It's, now's the time.
Here's your 15 minutes of fame, baby.
Do it. Yeah.
I mean, think about that. Okay. Bonnie says, JD ain't perfect, but he is way better than evil narc Amber Turd. Just my opinion. There it is. I think you said all I need to say. Okay. Got another one for us?
No, I'm just trying to
see if 2 minutes. 2 minutes. We got to go. All right. let me read a couple more comments. Simmering says, the problem here is that a lot of men can't afford to take their female abusers to court for defamation the way Johnny Depp has. Exactly.
That's it. Yeah.
Fender Gal. Oh, that's just, oh, I'm glad the world is seeing more, is learning about narcissism and seeing it can happen to someone like Johnny Depp. That's a huge thing, right?
Yep. It can happen to anyone. That's the thing.
Because,
yep.
Exactly. I don't know anyone who's ever been like Johnny Depp is a total female. Not that would be wrong, but I'm not saying it's right either. I'm just saying he's a manly man, so to speak, or he plays manly men in his roles anyway, most of the time. So I think that the reason I bring that up is not because I don't like men who aren't considered manly men, but I do know that there are some manly men who have been going through this and who aren't talking about it because they're manly men. Forgive me for these.
Oh my gosh, so often. And then they don't know how to get the support.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's rough. So yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff in the chat here, guys. Listen, if you want us, if you're watching on the replay or you're watching here right now with us, let us know. Do you want us to continue this conversation? And do you want us to bring in other people who think the opposite of we think, like Angelina from Living Warrior TV or anyone else? Let us know. Okay. We would be happy to continue if we need to, but otherwise we're going to move on and talk about another topic next week. So, all right. So we'll talk to at least any final words of wisdom.
No, I mean, just that, like I said, we can't know. We're just speculating. We can't know. And the more important piece of this for me is the awareness being brought up to the public. And the awareness that men can be victims, and the safety and freedom to be able to get help for it. If you notice it in your life, if you're a guy out there, talk to us. Right?
Yes, please. Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
What we're here for. All right, everybody. We are really happy to have you today. We'll look forward to seeing you next week. Watch Simmering's reminders. See you soon. Thanks, Lise.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.